we're sitting on a beach, or fishing at the lake, or just taking a break. The countdown clocks have started, fight songs pass the time. The days may run together, but you know that in our mind it's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Give me those 12 Saturdays. Spot the ball. March Madness is a blast, and we love baseball games. But nothing beats the feeling of having a killer slate of games. It's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Dreaming of all Saturdays. Spot the ball. Spot the ball. Oh, college football. Sat out your day. For the small, lay a big hit and pass a kickball. This game is for us all. From Seattle down toward the Keys, this game is you, this game is me. Cats, dogs, and steer, be the tree. This game is America, so sing it loud with me. College football forever. College football forever. Downtown LA, Starkville City. 1 week you're up next, take a dip. Run the rock or let it rip. This game is America. All say, can you sing it with me?
We just stepped on her face with a hot-tail broken across her nose. Whoa, Nelly!
College football forever. College football forever. College football forever. College football forever.
College football is a year-round discussion with these two. Here's JC and Morgan. Mike Morgan of ESPN and JC Sherbert of 24/7 Sports have you covered, beginning right now.
And a good morning, everybody who is watching us live. A good afternoon, good evening. Maybe you're an insomniac and you love listening to JC and Morgan at 3 in the morning. That's cool too, man. That's just put it on under the covers and enjoy it. Maybe put the earbuds in so you don't disturb the significant other lying next to you. She probably thinks you're just dreaming of her and hearkening back to the days you first met and that glimmer in your eye. What you're really doing is getting some college football talk with us, and we appreciate that. JC Sherbert of 24/7 Sports. I'm Mike Morgan. Our producer is Mad Dog Phil Mullinax. We welcome all of you listening live on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, X, and everything else. Lots to get to. It is Rivalry Week. It's such a special week. For those that watch on YouTube, I always put a little caption in there. Today, JC, I tried to be jaded intentionally. I was thinking about it. You know, last week we started, and one of the things I talked about was that these great games. I've had the fortune of calling some of these really good games across the college football slate and a number of great venues this year. And in so many cases, like the game is great, but the talk of the coaching searches has dwarfed the game. So a week and a half ago, I had the Kiffin Bowl in Oxford, and guess what the talk was? Lane. Oh, by the way, Ole Miss wins. This week, I'm in College Station. I'm in Happy Valley, and I've got Penn State, Nebraska, and Nebraska's a great story, and Matt Rule's doing great things. And kudos to Penn State. I mean, that is I'd never done a game there. It was only the second time I'd ever been to that city. 106,000. It's this massive stadium on top of a hill, and you're surrounded by like the ag school and the smell of cow dung. It's a real thing. But it's still really cool. And it has Southern vibes in terms of how much they love football and get after it and tailgate. So, and the people couldn't have been better. And it was a cold Saturday night, and they're playing with a backup quarterback, and they have no idea who their coach is going to be. But I say all that to say that's another thing where I love walking around the tailgating areas before the game and getting a sense, kind of putting my finger on the pulse of the fan base, and same thing. Like the whole talk is, who's our next coach going to be? That has dominated college football the last few weeks here in the month of November. And the other thing, JC, I put in my caption box, this probably will rub some people the wrong way. And I love rivalry week, so this is a little bit tongue in cheek, but I said rivalry week is the best week. And then I put in parentheses, except the playoff, because the playoff is pretty damn good. And the playoff talk, now that rules everything, right? So if you're a fan of a team that's probably not going to the playoff, this rivalry week, it's all about that. I mean, it is all about that. If you're already going to the playoff, rivalry week is still very special, but man, what you do in the playoff could be remembered forever. So it's a little bit different. Again, we're in a new era of college football. And I want to talk to you about the calendar at some point, JC. But yeah, because I mean, how we allow what's going on. I mean, players as we speak, the players that are wearing your favorite colors and uniform of your favorite school. There's people in that locker room. I don't care who you're a fan of. They've already negotiated a deal without you knowing about it to go to another school for a little bit extra cheddar. That happens. So when you buy that jersey, just remember that kid that you love when he's playing in your team's favorite uniform, he's already looking for a bigger, better deal. It's an NFL model that we live at. I don't know why we can't move the recruiting calendar to February like we used to, and the portal calendar to May. JC, I just we are leaving it to just be open to chaos in the most and worst possible way. Anyway, I've rambled too long. It's rivalry week. Good morning to you, sir, and I can't wait to get into a JC5 momentarily.
Absolutely. Nick Saban had a good idea. They don't listen to him.
They should.
What the deal is, okay, so you can't have everything, right? And college football, with the way the sport is governed with no leadership, you don't have any leadership. You have a very weak NCAA. This clearinghouse thing for NIL has become a disaster, not because of legal challenges, but because of sheer incompetence and sort of some, I think, shady, non-transparent acts by that particular group. And it's awful. We'll get into that this off season. And then you have people like Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and Brett Yormick and, and Jim Phillips, who they're just all in it for themselves. And then within those conferences, everybody's out for himself. I mean, people talk about how coaching salaries are out of control, and I agree. I mean, that's a conversation they should have. I think they should be heavily incentivized. I think now that you're paying players, you can't really, they think they can afford this, but they really can't. And you should just stand up to the Jimmy Sextons and Trace Armstrongs of the world and say, we're going to band together and, you're going to get your money if you win, but we're not guaranteeing you money to fail. There's no other profession like that. And I'm all for coaches getting paid. I mean, the people that go, well, if the coaches get paid, why can't the players? Yeah, coaches have paid their dues, right?
Yeah.
That said, I don't know of a single job out there, maybe some CEO job, which those salaries are insane as well, where you get a golden parachute, where you get like this, especially in a competitive sport. But you know what? They can't do that, Mike, because there's always going to be one school that's going to say, well, we love this coach and we're just going to do what it takes. I mean, LSU and Lane Kiffin, it's just one of those things where, people are right, but you have no leadership. And Nick Saban talked about the calendar, and he, what they need to do is this, okay, align it with the academic calendar. let's move signing day for high school players back to February. That's fine with me. There are players that want to enroll early that will not sign in February, but they've had that for a long time, even before they had an early signing day. And then move the portal to May. And then what you do is instead of spring practice, you have a OTAs. You have off season workout window in June,
Like in the NFL.
in the NFL. Hell, you can still do a spring, a small 5-day window of getting out there with the ball, or so you can make it make sense, and so have something to do in the spring. But that way, you have your whole team the full time through, and then hey, if you want to leave, it's fair to the players, it's fair to the coaches, and then these coaching changes aren't rushed. Now, before there was a portal in NIL, Mike, there was already, you just get sick of a guy. I mean, Les Miles got fired after what, 2 games 1 year?
Yeah.
Well, I think Wisconsin he got fired. When you're sick of a guy and you just go ahead and give it to the interim. And that's been happening for a long time, regardless of, because to get a jump on allegedly recruiting. I've never really seen most of these that fire mid-season, they don't get filled till way down the road anyway. But I guess it does give you time. It kind of pops the balloon or whips off the Band-Aid, so to speak. So early firings aren't going away, but this maniacal rush to get it done and having a situation where you may have a coach leave his team before the playoff to take a new job.
It's the worst of the worst. The Lane Kiffin thing, to your point, is the worst of all things. And I'm not blaming Lane. It's a business. And whatever job he takes, if he leaves, he's got to get ahead of the portal, right? He can't. And so we talked about this hypothetical last week. If Lane leaves for Florida or LSU, and supposedly we're going to find the answer out on Friday, on Black Friday, right around the Egg Bowl. Black Friday is going to be great for a number of reasons. But if he winds up taking a job elsewhere, Ole Miss has to decide, okay, a historical season. Are we so bitter and butthurt that we say you're not allowed to coach this team in the playoff? Because I think Lane would insist that he could do it. Like, let's just say he signed a deal with LSU. I think Lane, who's got more leverage than any coach I can think of in our lifetime right now. I mean, think about that. I cannot think of a coach that has had more leverage in our lifetime of covering college football than Lane Kiffin. If he said LSU, yeah, I'm good. $90 million check, $25 million to buy players, NIL check, and I insist that you allow me to coach Ole Miss in the playoff. Is LSU going to say no? That's a deal breaker? No, they're not going to say that. The question is, will Keith Carter and Ole Miss allow it? And the way it sounds, that's a deal breaker for them. So you're going to go into a playoff with an interim coach? You're going to lose. Lane's actually one of those game day coaches that truly makes a difference. He's very hands-on what the offense does. Charlie Weiss Jr.'s done a great job in his role, but make no mistake about it, it's Lane's offense. So anyway, it's absolutely so 2025 college football. And think about this. Rivalry week. And one of these is going to really hit home, JC. So hang on till the end of this, and then we'll dive into the JC5 because I need a little JC5 in my diet.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Auburn, Alabama. Iron Bowl. Doesn't get much better than that, right? Auburn is desperate to know, is it going to be Summerall? Who's going to be their head coach? They're fighting hard, but it's been a long year. Long year on the Plains. So Auburn, Alabama has a kind of a weird twist to it. And then Kalen DeBoer is like, dear God, if I lose this and miss a playoff in my first 2 years, they're going to be after me with pitchforks. So that's what surrounds that game. Again, a little bit, I'm not going to say apathy, but I think a lot of Auburn fans are more concerned about who their next coach is going to be versus the game itself. That's Auburn, Alabama. Florida, Florida State. Whew. Florida, dumpster fire. Already stressed that if they don't get Lane, what's it going to look like? They do a complete no-show against Tennessee. Their quarterback of the future, nobody is enamored with DJ Lagway anymore. And they're going up against a Florida State program whose fans want to get rid of Mike Norvell, but have already been told, no, he's back another year, can't afford the buyout. That surrounds Florida State, another great rivalry. Louisville, Kentucky. Kentucky fans are still looking in between the seat cushions to find $37 million to make a coaching change there. They would love John Summerall, their prodigal son. But either way, they'd love just a change, as apathy has really set in there. And at the end of the day, they want their team to win the rivalry game like all fans do, but it just has a weird vibe about it. And then Carolina Clemson, who for a number of years when it was Dabo and Steve, those were like top 15 matchups, right? And now this year, you could argue combined, that's the most disappointing two-team rivalry season of all of 2025. You're talking about two teams that were flirting with top 10 prominence, Heisman Trophy candidates at quarterback. Everything was supposed to be breakout years for both, and they've both been incredibly disappointing. The games at Williams-Brice Stadium, Clemson fans seem to have really fallen out of love with Dabo, and Dabo has really seemed to have fallen out of love with Clemson, and there's a lot of rumors out there. And then there's Shane Beamer, who I think fans generally like and are pulling for, but if he loses that game, as you well know, JC, going to be a very long off season. That's our rivalry week, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, look,
have you ever seen anything like that? Like Ohio State, Michigan, yeah, big game, and everything. Everybody's happy there. Although Michigan, if they lose that one's probably wondering, like, when are we going to get the non-interim coach? Is probably what they're saying. And I know they like Sharon Moore. He's likable, but they're going to be like, he ain't Jim Harbaugh. But that's our rivalry week. Have you ever seen anything so topsy-turvy?
No, and yeah, it's that's it. A lot of some of the stuff's in the JC5, but yeah, it's weird. You know, I if I were Alabama, I would be incredibly uncomfortable just because I know Auburn's had a tough year. But I also know this: they've played pretty good under DJ Durkin, and those kids show up. Those kids show up for that game.
Yeah,
you know, it's a lot of Alabama in that game, and it does. That's not one. Usually, the better team wins. You know, last 17, 18 years, unless Auburn wins. You know, but those kids play hard in that game, no matter what. I mean, it's everything in that state. So. But yeah, if DeBoer loses and they miss out on the play, I mean, they miss out on the playoff, and the SEC championship game's teed up for them right now because winning, they're going to Atlanta because their other loss was a non-conference, obviously, to FSU. Imagine week one, our outlook for the whole state of Florida was positive.
That's right.
Not now.
Florida's back, baby.
Florida State's fighting like heck to beat the Gators and go to the Pinstripe Bowl. Florida's completely quit. You know, the one game they hadn't quit, so the Ole Miss game
was the Kiffin Bowl. That was personal. I would imagine they're going to play hard in Florida because, you know, it's just like Carolina, Clemson, or I want to say Georgia Tech, but I can't. Like, you got big time athletes on both sides that played against each other in high school, and like you'll get up for that. If you've got a pulse, you'll get up for that game.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that's very, very interesting. But I got more on that.
All right. Yeah, I didn't mean to poach subjects in the JC5 the way programs are poaching coaches right now and players. Good. Let's dive into that JC5, shall we? Mad Dog, take it away.
It's time for the top topics in the sport. We bring the JC5. Number 1.
All right, riddle me this, Batman. What if Michigan wins the Ohio State-Michigan game again?
Yeah.
That puts them in the Big Ten championship game against Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State would still go to the playoff, although their strength of record. Remember now, this is a new component of the playoff. The committee hasn't really used it yet. Maybe they're saving it for the relevant week, but strength of record was supposed to be the big thing. Don't tell Miami that. Because it's all about the U-Dogs are saying, hey, you know, we did beat Notre Dame and we have the same record, and Notre Dame, we're looking up at them in the poll. if that happens, I mean, look, Ryan Day is safe, obviously. They just won a national championship. He got G'd up. But the bigger story will be Michigan is completely in the head of Ohio State, and they are kryptonite. And look, they have enough athletes to win that game. I did a Michigan State game this year, and my partner Tom Ramsey, we were down on the field, and it's cold, and I want to go back up to the booth. He's like, Mike, just hold on, because the offense had already come out on the field. They came out of the tunnel. He goes, just wait till you see the defense come out of the tunnel, because he already had a Michigan game. And these guys run out of there, and I mean, that's what Alabama, Georgia looks like. That caliber of athlete. And it was pretty impressive. You're just and you're watching them do drills, and so they have like the athletes on defense. They've got their all everything quarterback, Bryce Underwood. It's a very pedestrian offense. They're not going to throw the ball a ton against Ohio State. They're not going to get a bunch of passing yards. They've only got one of their two dynamic backs, but they just have to ground and pound, win the turnover battle, and shut Ohio State down, which is what they did last year in route to an upset win. That was in Columbus. This is in the big house, baby. I mean, nothing would shock me anymore. Too often, I hate cliches. Anybody can win this one. Throw the records out. Well, usually the better team wins. The better team has not always won in Michigan, Ohio State, not based on pure talent and personnel. Ohio State has left some stuff on the field in some of those games. So if it happens, nothing changes. Sharon Moore will certainly enhance his job security. And Michigan still has a chance at the playoff. Like, I think people just wrote Michigan off months ago. They absolutely could get in at that point, which would be a great story.
Yeah, they've been inconsistent, struggled to beat Purdue and Northwestern. You mentioned the Michigan State game. Nice win over Washington. Ohio State's defense has given up 68 points total in 8 Big Ten games so far this year. So that's scoring. If Underwood's going to have one of his up games for them. You mentioned they're missing Justice Haynes at running back, but their defense is really, really good. Ohio State really has not been challenged, as you alluded to. I personally want Ohio State to win because I want to see Indiana and Ohio State play for the Big Ten title. I'm just selfish like that, but should be a very interesting game yet again.
Number 2.
I hate to bring this up, Mike, but Southern Cal.
I was young. I needed to work, JC. I had to make a living. They were tastefully done.
They continue to be soft. And Lincoln Riley does not help himself. He went after another reporter this weekend. They lost to Oregon. I said going in, it's because Oregon's the more physical team. They're going to win the game. And by God, that's what happened. Are they ever going to turn it around? I mean, of course, they're better than they have been, but that's just not the standard of that program.
I don't know if they do turn it around. I just feel like Lincoln's had enough of a runway in an era of the portal. Remember when he took the job, he basically stripped Oklahoma, not just of Caleb Williams, but some key players, some key recruits. This was not a true rebuild in the sense of what we're used to. He's had talent in Los Angeles from day one, and they have grossly underachieved. It's kind of funny because Lincoln's name is still circulating for some of these jobs out there. There might be somebody that tries to poach Lincoln Riley, and his stock is not exactly great, but he's an offensive-minded coach, and those have never been in greater demand. I don't know. I mean, their quarterback is supposed to be great. I saw him up close. He's good. I don't think he's great. Mekhi Lemon's a great wide receiver. He'll be a top 10 pick in the draft in all likelihood. But there's just something missing there. I can't put my finger on it. It really makes you appreciate what Pete Carroll had going. I mean, they were – it's easy to forget now, and I realize our audience spans all ages. So if you're 24, maybe you were a kid and you saw it, but you don't really appreciate how good and dominating Southern Cal was and the level of talent on both sides of the ball. They were a factory, man. They were one of the greatest. I would call it a mini dynasty that I've seen in my lifetime during that time frame. I mean, Heisman Trophy. I think they had like 3 Heisman trophies in a 7-year span at that point. Reggie Bush is one of the most exciting players. I could go on and on and on. Your question, I don't know, man. I don't think Lincoln Riley. I I don't know what the recruiting looks like. I don't know who the next biggest thing that they're bringing in, their next toy on offense looks like. I'm sure he's got a lot of stars next to his name, but to me, it's been a disappointment, and I think most Southern Cal fans would say the same thing.
Number 3.
3.
Does the Big 12 deserve a second team in the playoff? It looks kind of like BYU's hanging in there. You saw BYU play Texas Tech. The point spread in that one was 20 points. It sounded to me, after listening to your lovely broadcast, by the way,
thank you, sir.
was that Texas Tech sort of dominated that game.
Yeah.
They're up there, though. They're hanging out. I don't really trust the committee. What say you on BYU?
I don't see BYU beating Texas Tech in a rematch, and therefore I don't see more than one team from that conference going. It's a fun league. It's very competitive. I enjoy Big 12 football, but having seen Texas Tech up close and watching them thoroughly dominate BYU in that game, you could say, well, maybe BYU just had a bad night or day. I think it was more complicated than that. Texas Tech has an SEC caliber defense with SEC caliber defensive linemen and a Heisman Trophy candidate linebacker in Jacob Rodriguez, who I'm a huge fan of. That kid is a remarkable story, and it's legit. It's not like a Disney movie. You know, he's not Rudy, but he's just that good. And so that combined with it's a well-oiled machine, no pun intended, oil money. They're just good enough with Baron Morton at quarterback. They've got some good skill players. They can ground and pound. No, I think it's a one-bid league. Sorry, Big 12. I think it's Texas Tech, who I think nobody's going to want to play in the playoff. But I don't think anybody else from that conference gets in.
Number 4.
Speaking of nobody else from that conference gets in,
could be 0 for the league you're about to mention.
Dude, Duke could still get to the ACC championship game, and it's not that complicated. They got to beat Wake Forest and then hope either Pitt loses to Miami, which could happen.
Yeah.
Or SMU loses to Cal, which could happen. And that's an or. Yeah. That's not an and.
Right.
Their path is a little bit because they'd be 6-2, but they're 5-5 overall.
And if they win the ACC, they are not getting in. So the ACC would be shut out.
Unless they throw Miami. If Miami wins but doesn't get into the
look, Miami's the most talented team in that league. There's no question.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's. I guess you could say Clemson, but Miami is they're the best team in that league. But it's typical Miami. It's typical Cristobal, who's really feeling the wrath of it's all about the U-Dogs. I mean, the other day, my bug guy came in with the Pelican tattoo, gold chains, and he just started going off. I mean, now he killed a gigantic roach. I thought that maybe put him in a better mood. And he smiled after he zapped him. But then he said, "Yo, dog. This Cristobal, man, he ain't getting it done, dog." And so I took that in Miami vernacular as we might be ready for a coaching change if we don't get in the playoff. I looked at my interpreter. But no, to answer your question, to circle back to the ACC, it's been another disappointing year in the ACC. When you have Miami laying a couple of eggs, when you have Florida State just being a complete dumpster fire, when you have Clemson, that's been a massive disappointment, one of the most disappointing teams in college football. SMU very quietly has taken a step back when everybody thought they were going to be a darling once again. And then, like we've already, Virginia Tech has been down. That's why they brought in Franklin. it's a tough year. So that's going to be JC. If they fail to get a team in, that is going to be a really, really bad look for Jim Phillips and company. That's all I'll say about that.
Well, yeah, that would put 2 group of 5 teams in too.
Yeah,
The 5 highest ranked. So in other words, if Tulane and whoever
JMU.
else is ahead of, Tulane, yeah, that's going to be bizarre. But yeah, if you don't like group of 5 teams in, I would probably pull for Miami to. They got to beat Pitt, and then Duke actually has to lose to Wake Forest for Miami to get in. Or if Virginia Tech beats Virginia, then Miami would be in. That's crazy. Anyway,
And meanwhile, Georgia Tech. I haven't bought the Georgia Tech hype all year. I have
bottom
not
has
Number
fallen
5.
out.
Yeah,
The bottom.
Sorry,
has
Mr.
out.
Announcer, but they should have lost to Boston College. This was on a silver platter for them, and everybody talked about how big the game was, and they laid a pterodactyl-sized egg. At one point, we're down 28 points. They're going to get smoked by Georgia here in the ATL, and so that was the other good vibe story. Everybody loves Brent Key, but they've been a disappointment in terms of where they were and how they're finishing.
All right, number 5, as our announcer
Number
said.
5.
Right. So you mentioned this, Mike, and I'm telling you this is the first time I can remember, and I think it's because the SEC television contract. You can thank Disney and ABC for this. Black Friday is a more intriguing day than Saturday to me because we got this lineup. We got the Egg Bowl. And then we go into the game you mentioned, clean, old-fashioned hate. Now, Georgia Tech fading a bit. Games at Mercedes-Benz. There's going to be a lot of red and black in that stadium, obviously. Yeah. But, man, last year it was a classic.
Classic.
Georgia
8 overtimes?
Tech, yeah. I mean, and it's still a rivalry game. Georgia's playing their best. It's bad timing for Georgia Tech. I think earlier this year, when Tech was playing really well and Georgia was kind of getting by, probably a more intriguing game on paper, but it's still, I'm not ruling out Georgia Tech playing very well in that game after what happened last year. And then the nightcap, the Lone Star Showdown in Austin between Texas and Texas A&M. So we got the Egg Bowl, clean old-fashioned hate, and the Lone Star Showdown all in one day on Black Friday. How about that?
Yeah.
That is a daggum triple header. You
got it. And Brian Baldinger and I will be on the call on Elite Media Network for Texas A&M in Austin. I've never called that game. I cannot wait. And that actually has a lot riding on it because I really think Texas still has a path. Now, they need a little help, but a three-loss Texas team would then have wins over top 8 Oklahoma, A&M. They smoked Vandy. If Alabama loses the Iron Bowl and they're at 3 losses, who's got the better resume? You could make a strong case for Texas at that point. Obviously, a little chaos would help there. But I think everybody wants to see how Arch Manning does in that game. This could be either a coronation or it could be the kid's overrated, depending on how he shows up in that game. The Egg Bowl, goodness gracious. ABC is walking into just a dream of storylines. Your sideline, I know what those production meetings are like. Your sideline reporter is, I know a lot of people say sideline reporters are worthless. They ask dumb questions. Well, in a situation like this, they are in some ways the star because the biggest story surrounding that game is going to be the guy coaching Ole Miss and trying to lead his team to a victory over Mississippi State. That game is good enough as it is. They're like the OGs of Thanksgiving college football games that'll get you to watch even if you don't care. Now it's on Black Friday because the NFL and their bullyish wisdom said, "We own Thanksgiving. Get out of here, punk." And now they're playing on Black Friday. But no, you're right, JC. I mean, I could make an argument that triple header will trump whatever triple header might be on ABC, ESPN, Fox. You're absolutely right. I think fans are in store for a terrific Black Friday.
All right, that's the
And we are in store for a terrific quick timeout. We'll come back, G5 John, and I'll do a deep dive on one of the coaches that's getting a lot of talk right about now and is probably going to take a bigger job from the G5 to the P4. You can see on your screen, perhaps right in front of the Stooges, I am sparked up today. Spark, one of the many products of Advocare, just made an order. I've been doing it for 13 years. Spark, got some of that. That's my get up and go. No coffee necessary, no sugar. Energy drinks are like awful for you for the most part. This is not your typical energy drink. Rehydrate, better than Gatorade. Products that'll help you sleep. Products that'll get you ready for a workout without Meathead Mickey over at the GNC. Yeah, bro, we're all sold out. Want to make an order? You don't have to deal with that guy. No, you just order online and you go ahead and have it at your door without dealing with Meathead Mickey. And you can get 20% off with the promo code Mike Morgan. Again, we are JC and Morgan, powered by Advocare. And we're back after a quick timeout.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, ready?
You bet.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks!
Hey, folks, want to tell you about our friends at Titan Construction Group really quick. They're a mid-Atlantic-based general contractor, specializes in retail, restaurant, and office construction. TCG strives to separate itself from other general contractors by adding value every step of the process. From project budgeting to estimation, value engineering to construction, they focus on those relationships and not the transaction. Titan builds partnerships one project at a time. Among their clients are Starbucks, Crumble Cookie, Blake Pizza, Home Goods, 15 plus years experience, based in Midlothian, Virginia, and contracted in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So get on their website, TitanCGinc.com. That's TitanCGinc.com. Get in touch with Brad if you're in need of a general contractor that focuses on going above and beyond for their clients. That's Titan Construction Group, a proud sponsor of the JC and Morgan podcast.
We're passionate about making sure that the Nest and Wild mattress is the best it can be. Made well and made right here in Tupelo, Mississippi. So how can we do all that? Work. Hard work. And that means something. The Nest and Wild mattress is a movement. It's a pride in where you come from and where you're going. So get comfortable, because this movement is just beginning.
This is JC and Morgan on the Chief Sports Network.
College football forever.
And we're back to JC and Morgan. I love that dramatic pause after the little guitar riff. Mike Morgan, JC Sherbert, Mad Dog, Phil Monax, our producer here on the show. The final segment here. Again, we are powered by Advocare, advocare.com. Couple of things before we get into the deep dive. We've got G5 John, who does great work. Again, not just elitists on this show. what there's a guy out there, Rick Neuheisel, who does a national show I really enjoy, and I've gotten to know a little bit on the over time coming on his show. He always sticks up for the little guy. He always keeps up. Even they came up with an award called the Greisman, the Group 5 Heisman Trophy winner, which I thought was pretty clever. And much like Mr. Neuheisel, we too give some love to the G5. And really, if you want to keep up with who the next great coach, very often that's where he's coming from, folks. He's coming from the G5. So someday your program will probably be looking for a new head coach, whoever it is. And that new head coach could very likely come from the G5. G5, John always has his top 5. Number 5, San Diego State. They're 9-2. They finish at New Mexico. 8-2, Navy. They get a bye week, and then they take on Memphis. Oh, no, they had a bye week. I'm sorry. Then they take on Memphis. And, of course, as always, the Army-Navy game would follow. Number 3, Tulane. More on Tulane in a moment. They beat Temple. They've got Charlotte. If they beat Charlotte, they go 10-2 on the year under Coach Summerall. Number 2, North Texas. Speaking of hot coaching candidates, they blow out Rice. They're 10-1, and they'll likely beat Temple and go 11-1. And number 1, JMU. He's got James Madison, number 1 at 10-1. They'll play Coastal and likely will finish 11-1. Game of the week, he's got Navy at Memphis. Memphis, a 5.5-point favorite. Player to watch, Navy senior quarterback Blake Horvath. What a story he's been. He's thrown for 1,290 this year with 8 touchdowns. He's run for another 986 with 13 touchdowns in 10 games. Player of the week, North Texas sophomore wide receiver Wyatt Young. 8 grabs, 295 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Rice. That offense just produces numbers, folks. He broke the American single game receiving yard record. And finally, a shout out to Southern Miss, who's 7-4 overall, 5-2 in the Sun Belt, after going 1-11 last year. Great job by Charles Huff, who came over from Marshall. Any thoughts on G5, JC?
Charles Huff did a
JCP?
good. Yeah, Charles Huff did a good job at Marshall. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation there. I lost respect for Marshall in that situation because not only did they say, well, you can just go on because we're going to hire this other guy that we like. He took half his team with him to Hattiesburg. And then they backed out of the bowl last year and made Louisiana Tech go play Army in the Independence Bowl, which I thought was a sad move. They had enough players to play, Mike. They were just like, we didn't play. So I thought Marshall was like, I will take on anybody, anytime, anywhere. But I guess those days are long gone. And Marshall wasn't worth a nickel. Marshall wasn't worth a nickel this year. So, and Southern Miss was. Southern Miss has great fans. I'm happy for him. Got to be interesting to see who the top 2 ranked, especially if the ACC has the catastrophic situation. Top 2 ranked teams, according to the playoff poll, are, I think right now Tulane is the number 1, the highest ranked group of 5 team. But man, that American championship, I mean, you just don't know in that league.
Right.
I mean, they may not. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens, but certainly JMU, that Bob Chesney is a coach that I think will get another job this year.
Another one.
If not UCLA. And then San Diego State, by the way, a guy that coaches there, Sean Lewis. He's the OC prime. He's the OC that prime ran off last year, and it looked like it worked, but then he took the head coach job at San Diego State and has been winning. Sean Lewis claimed to fame. He had Kent, the Golden Flashes, competitive.
Yes, I had one of their Maction games, so I got to chat with Sean, and great dude and a good coach. Dion's running out of scapegoats over there at Colorado. The guy who, to quote several national media sources, who was going to revolutionize college football and college football coaching, Mr. Revolution at Colorado is 16-20 overall, 9-17 in conference. And the bowl game they did get to, they got smoked by the Mormons of BYU last year with the Heisman Trophy winner and the guy that everybody thought was an excellent quarterback in Shador, who got his first start in Cleveland. And
didn't play bad.
Didn't play badly, didn't play great, and then goes on a post-game interview and says, "That's just with a week of practice, man. You just wait." He just started going kinda like Dion, he beat the TCU team that wasn't very good and
He's
says,
his
"He's
dad's son.
doing a victory lap." Yeah, it's the same thing, but, let the revolution continue over there, and the thing is they can't fire him because they have given him the world. Colorado was a school that didn't have a ton of money, and their AD who's on the way out said, "Oh, no, no, this is the new Colorado. Give him everything he wants, everything." And they did. And he doesn't recruit. He doesn't wanna, get on the road and put that work in, so he just goes portal. "How much money you want? How much money? Coach Prime gonna get you 750." And that's his secret sauce, and, the results are the results over there in Boulder. Again, I am hoping he does not. I don't want him to get fired. I love the story. "Dion, you do you. Stay. Don't you dare quit on me. Don't you do it. Don't lose your intensity." I want that story to continue over there in Boulder. John Summerall, take a deep dive. Can we get some JB? Can we get some, the boss? Because, this segment, I've kinda combined it into the boss. That is the deep dive and some of the, hot coaching candidates. So what do we know about John Summerall, the head coach of Tulane? Well, I mentioned Kentucky. They have been wanting this guy. I first heard his name when one of my in-laws said, "I tell you what they need to do is fire Mark Stoops and bring in John Summerall." That was like 3 years ago. If you thought they wanted John Summerall 3 years ago in Lexington, oh my goodness, what they would give to get John Summerall, who played at Kentucky. I remember this. Um, Actually called a couple of his games. He was a linebacker. He's like a tackling machine, but I forgot what happened with him. So he plays at Kentucky. He actually led the team in tackles as a junior in 2004. But then prior to his senior season, he was diagnosed with a spinal condition that ended his playing career. So basically, if you believe in the man upstairs, he had better ideas of what John Summerall should do. When you get dealt a blow like that, you have to make a decision on where you're going to pivot. So his pivot was coaching. So he began coaching as a grad assistant at his alma mater, Kentucky, after medically retiring from football. So he's a GA 05 to 06. Then he goes to San Diego, a D-line coach and assistant head coach at San Diego for 5 years. Then he's the co-DC at Tulane from 2012 to 2014. I like grinders, JC. This is the resume of a grinder. 2015 to 2017, assistant head coach at Troy. Then in 2018, the linebackers coach at Ole Miss. Then 2019 to 2020, the inside linebackers coach at Kentucky. Then the co-DC at Kentucky. Then he gets the big break, the head coach at Troy. All right, big shot. What are you going to do when you're the head guy now? How about 12-2 and 11-2, 2 bowl games, 23-4 overall, 14-2 in the Sun Belt at Troy? Okay, what are you going to do in a conference like the American, who some people think is the best G5? Goes to Tulane, 9-5 in year one, 7-1 in league play, and this year 9-2, 6-1 in league play. And as you mentioned, the leading candidate to get to the playoff via the G5 spot. He's going to be gone. It's there are a number of programs rumored to take John Summerall away, and I don't just mean like a good job. I mean like a really good job. He's probably going to be in the SEC. You're going to see John Summerall at an SEC school near you. So something to look for here in the next few weeks. I think another great story, JC, the kind of guys that I root for because I respect people that work their ass off to get that kind of opportunity.
He's 41-11 at Troy and Tulane. Those are two places in the group of 5 that have had success. Don't get me wrong. It's not like nobody's ever won. Willie Fritz, you got to give him credit for rocking and rolling with Tulane. Getting them going.
No doubt.
But that said, sustainable at an academic school in New Orleans when, 20 years ago, they didn't even know if they were going to keep playing football,
right,
because of Katrina and all that. they're rocking and rolling. They didn't miss a beat under him. What he is a winner, Mike. You know, the guy, I can't really tell you watching his teams like what their identity necessarily is or what their trademark is, or some guys are offensive guys, some guys are defensive guys. He's both. He's just a winner. They play winning football. Same way with Bob Chesney at James Madison. He's got a background on defense, but
where did he come from?
Summerall, they're good. He came from Holy Cross.
Really?
He's got actually a friend of mine, G.A. Mangus, who coached at South Carolina, was the head coach at Delaware Valley. And Bob Chesney was his D coordinator in 2002 at D3 Del Valle. And so he's one of those guys like Dan Mullen or Chip Kelly or name your good coach that bounced around in the Northeast for a while and then made his way to a better, because they got some good coaches up there in the Northeast. It's not a football area. So, and he's a guy that just wins. Him and Summerall are good coaches. And the reason why I agree with you and think Summerall's going to get a really good job is because you don't have, Lane Kiffin's really the only no-brainer out there. Him writing his own ticket and having all this drama is a really more telling about the coaching field this year, because you got a lot of guys that are at places that could move up and be good, but they're all their alma maters. Clark Lee, Jeff Brom, Kenny Dillingham, are they going to leave? And Brent Key, they're all less likely to leave their schools behind, and they're all kind of early too in their tenures, except Clark Lee. He's been there a while, but so that Summerall's going to benefit from this, and we'll see if he can just keep on doing what he does and win. But that is the type of guy you pull for. I think Auburn really wants him. He's born in Texarkana, Texas, but grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, in northern Alabama. So he knows what that state's all about and all that. I also heard if Kiffin does leave, and they don't just promote Pete Golding and hand him the job full time, that Summerall, because of his experience at Ole Miss, wouldn't mind that job. So Ole Miss may, Keith Carter, man, he may benefit. He may get just as good of a coach as far as winning and stuff goes for 2026. But that's stories like that. I like, that guy worked his way up, didn't have any opportunity. Like you said, bad injury, bounced around, put in his dues, and now he's winning, and he's going to get a big payday.
Going to get a big payday indeed. Real quick on chat row, Harrison, this week is what makes college football the best damn sport on the planet. Should be an amazing Saturday of games this week and Friday, Harrison. You're absolutely right. Steven says, wouldn't it be like Lane if he pulls off his biggest troll against LSU and stays at Ole Miss? I don't think even Lane knows exactly what he's going to do on November the 25th, 2025. But yeah, there might be a couple schools that feel trolled if all that happens, for sure. Doc Graybeard, Lane is in the driver's seat whether he goes or stays. The ability to recruit portal guys, I think Lane wants to get his natty, and getting at Ole Miss would be more meaningful. Yes and yes. There's no doubt. Ole Miss, unless you include the 1960s, there's not a whole lot of winning tradition there. Lane's already got 4 10-win seasons, which is pretty damn amazing. And finally, Sam the man always does this toward the end. I love it. The Fiver Dimer. We'll do more Fiver Dimer when the season cools off a little bit. Fiver, if there's a movie on and if you've sat there and watched most of it for at least 5 times, that's a Fiver. Dimer, 10 or more. Neither, of course, is neither. Men at Work. I believe that's Estevez and Sheen. Never saw it, Sam. I remember the movie. Never saw it. I know.
You were literally in the movie, Mike. Like the Charlie Sheen character.
Charlie Sheen. Hey, I will take that.
Because you favor Charlie Sheen a little bit. You look, you have the look. But dude, his character in that, it's like there's a lot of Mike Morgan. A lot of Mike Morgan in it.
I think there's a compliment in there somewhere also.
No, I'm serious, dude.
Mike arranged.
No, it's just kind of like he's got these funny moments and stuff, and then there's like women involved that is kind of funny. That I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm stunned. You've never seen that movie.
I
That's a
just never
Ben
got to it.
Franklin. That's
Oh,
one of
a
the
Ben?
best.
What? You've
Yes,
seen it that many times?
dude. There's so many one-liners in it, and it's like some I can't repeat. But
I
yeah,
can't
I mean,
figure your
it's
taste out sometimes.
it
I
is
can't.
so good.
Okay.
And that
I'll put
guy,
it. It's probably on Tubi this month, so I'll check it out.
yeah, you will like it. You will like it, Mike.
All right. The other one, can we all agree Fletch is a Ben Franklin?
Yes.
That's like, if it's on, drop the remote. Let's go ahead. Fletch is just, 6'9" with the afro. I'll have a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich. Put it on the Underhill account. I mean, I could give you like 30 lines from that movie. It's when Chevy Chase was funny. I just saw a doc on Eddie Murphy, which wasn't very good. Chevy Chase and Eddie Murphy had the unique ability to be the funniest men on the planet and then lose their ability to be funny. I don't know what happened. Eddie seems still like a delightful guy. Chevy just turned into a bitter a-hole that nobody wanted to be around. But back in the
Apparently,
day,
he's always been that way, though. Kind of.
Chevy, yeah. No, even when he was on SNL, supposedly him and Aykroyd got into like a fist fight. He was just he was a pompous, you know what. But nevertheless, Fletch, Ben Franklin, men at work. I've got a homework assignment. Perfect way to leave the show. Our thanks to Mad Dog, for JC. This is Mike saying so long. It should be a lot of fun. Hope your team wins on Rivalry Week, and we'll be talking about it next week on JC and Morgan. So long, everybody.